Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL44 coming at you with another video. All right, so there was a couple of things happening in the NBA last night after I finished my video that I think was noteworthy. First of all, the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets played a game that was a lot more spirited than I would have thought. When I was watching my video, making my video rather, they were up by 3 with like 2 minutes to go in the first half. So I knew it was a close game, but I had no idea it was going to turn out to be what it was. It was really, really spectacular. And there were some things in that game near the end of regulation that stood out to me. Um, this is not a huge highlight, but it just shows that certain things can derail your situation. Now, Jokic had the ball in his hands with one full shot clock to go, like 24 seconds to go or something like that. He was at the top of the key. They were running some type of curl patterns. Forgive me, my basketball IQ ain't all the way up to par, but they were running some curl patterns, and it looked like the play was running low. I don't think it was 17 seconds. I think it was more like 7 seconds, not 17, excuse me. Maybe like 15 seconds left on the clock, 7 seconds left on the shot clock. Jokic has the ball in his hands. The play isn't manifesting as quickly as Mike Malone wants it to, and he calls a timeout. Here's my problem. I understand breaking up a play that you think is broken, but the MVP had just hit 2 or 3 straight shots. He had 7 seconds to operate, and he had a man one-on-one with him at the top of the key. He was going to make something happen there. All you had to do was let him create something. He was going to make something happen. Mike Malone called the timeout, and when he did that, there's a 7 seconds left in the shot clock. It's with 15 seconds left, it turns into a situation where the play that he runs gets a foul called in the situation, and his guy only hits one shot, ends up leaving it tied. Things transpire, the game goes into overtime, they lose. I believe if he doesn't call that timeout, and mind you, they're tied in this situation. I don't think they're down when they call the timeout. They're tied, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not certain though. But either way, in my situation, I believe that you do not call that timeout. You let the MVP create something with time expiring. You let him stay in rhythm. You let him keep doing what he's doing. If the play looked broken and his players falling over the floor, his 50-50 ball stuff, guys got to, it's about to be a tie ball, a tie-up ball for a jump ball, cool, call a timeout. It's about to be a broken play. But in situations like that where it's just broken down, to me it looked like Mike Malone said, okay, it's playoff time. This is my moment. This is when I get to showcase myself. The play looks like it's kind of broken, but he could make something out of it. But this is the playoffs. I'm at home. I would rather on the road. Let me draw up a play. I get to shine. And it was that decision that cost him the basketball game. It was that decision. Coaches got to get out the way. I can't stress this enough. Get the hell out the way. If the MVP has the ball in his hands with expiring time, the last thing anybody in the room wants you to do, the defense, the offense, the fans, any arena, the last thing they want you to do is get in the way. It's the same thing I say about the officials. I don't want a call to determine the game. I don't want a technical to determine the game. Let the best players in the league determine what happens there. Unless it's just an egregious foul you have to call, you got to do your job, but don't get in the way. I legitimately think Mike Malone lost in the game by calling that timeout. Legitimately think that. I think they win the game in regulation if he just lets Jokic cook who's ever in front of him. Whatever way he was going to, with 7 seconds left, 15 seconds left on the clock, I don't need no timeout. None at all. I need Mike Malone to sit on the sideline and let the best player in the world do what the hell he's going to do. So that's what I wanted to say. That drove me absolutely crazy. I'm pretty sure there were good technical reasons for why the ball needed to be, reimagined. A play needed to be reimagined. But the trump card for me, for those who are teetering on whether or not what I'm saying makes any sense, is this. I have seen far too many inbound plays get intercepted. I am not risking an inbound. That's the trump card to the situation. For those who wonder, well, he could call a real good play there. That bottom line is you are inbounding the ball from the sideline. And those have a solid possibility of getting intercepted. We see it far too often for me to think that stopping the clock, pulling the ball out of the MVP's hands with not a full shot clock, coming back out there with 7 seconds on the shot clock, and then risking an inbounds faux pas, it's too many risks. It's too many risks. And that's what I want people to remember. Every time you call a timeout and pull the ball out of your hands, to do so. You risk an inbounds mistake. And that risk needs to be measured just as much as your focus in regards to how important running a specific handwritten play actually is. Because there's a chance that handwritten play doesn't work, and then there's another chance that inbound doesn't work. Those are two chances things could go wrong just by pulling the ball to the corner. When you already got it in play, ain't no inbounds to risk. That's one less risk. No inbounds. The ball's already in your hands. Now you just got to make something happen. And with the MVP having the ball in his hands with expiring seconds on the shot clock, assuming the game is tied, because that makes a big difference. If the game ain't tied, then maybe that changes what I'm saying. Because if he misses the shot, you're looking at the coach like, why didn't you put it into this? But my thing is this. Mike Malone needs to call that timeout way before 7 seconds left on the shot clock. If you're going to let the play break down to that degree, then you got to let it play all the way out. You can't call the timeout with 7 seconds on the shot clock. What the hell are you going to do with 7 seconds on the shot clock? Obviously nothing. It turned into a foul, got to the line, he missed the shot, and now we're tied. So if my mind is right and I'm looking at that properly, you were down 2. So that does change things to a degree, but even so, you're risking the inbound. And you're taking the ball out of the MVP's hands, only hoping to get it back in his hands pretty much for a similar situation with the same amount of clock left. I like Jokic in a live ball situation there, especially given the way that things were lined up. It was him and a defender in front of him at the 3-point line. He was going to create something somehow. He had hit shots left and right. All he was going to do is create something, and it would have worked just like the last 3 shots. So I'm not concerned about the Nuggets at all, because in the grand scheme of things, this is something that you just either choose to do or not to do. It's not like the grandest mistake. And given the fact they were up 3-0 in the series, they're not in trouble. But here's my thing. You do not want to play extra basketball. I don't believe in the idea that we can afford to drop games in the playoffs, because any extra basketball leaves any extra risk. It's the same way I'm looking at the extra inbounds play. I don't want an extra inbound. I don't want an extra play, because at the end of the day, I do have Nikola Jokic and a bunch of healthy people, which means the less basketball we play, the higher chances we stay that way. And you're going to need to stay that way if you're the Denver Nuggets. And with Jokic's health being as it's been to end the season, you do not need to be playing no extra basketball, no overtime games, no extra games. And that's all that they manifested by letting that play out the way that it did. So I just wanted to point that out. I thought that was a mistake. I ain't going to sit up here and say, oh, Malone is stupid. No. You just made a mistake that cost him the game. That's really it. I don't think it's something that you have to overthink or try to fire the man for. Not necessarily. Coaches choose to either use their instincts to stop something they think is broken or not. And my thing is, if that's somebody else with the ball in that situation, then it's perfectly justifiable. But given the fact that that's Nikola Jokic with the ball in his hands and they're not crowding him out, and the play is live, and he is at the 3-point line, it's not like he's all the way back to the half-court line or something like that. It's not like he's all the way in the corner being trapped or something. None of that. It's single coverage at the top of the key, 7 seconds on the shot clock, and the floor spread around with players curling around him. He was going to make something happen. I'm almost 99% certain that the Minnesota Timberwolves ain't about to start. Nothing he was about to do in that situation. Plenty of time. And so that's my thing. It's like, man, you just got to trust your great Hall of Fame player. Taking the ball out of his hands so you can run something for you, so that you can look like a genius, leave you lost. You're gonna lose. And so that's what I gotta say, man. Mike Malone, the coaches be getting in the way, man. Sometimes they be getting in the way, and that's all I wanted to say about the particular thing. All right, and there was something else that I wanted to mention. I wish I remembered what it was. I think it had something to do with that Golden State game. I just do not remember what it was. But it's one of those situations where I just look at the Golden State Warriors and their situation and say, they had a chance. Or rather, the Sacramento Kings, vice versa. They had a chance to go up 3-1. And they did not take care of business in Golden State. And I think it just came down to some very key, childish, young, youthful mistakes. Guys just not doing what they need to do to take care of the basketball down the stretch of the basketball game, allowing the other team to have a little more respect than they need, and allowing their experience to ultimately outthink them. And that's what you're counting on when you pick the Golden State Warriors to win the series at the beginning of the series. It's that experience that should, in theory, be able to be strong enough to keep the game close, and to be experienced enough to finish the game off if it's close in the end. And you just saw Game 3, or rather, I believe, what was that, Game 3? The one we just saw, the last game. You saw that take place. You saw the Kings basically beat the more capable team, but then run into a bunch of old champs that just ran old man smart plays down the stretch of the game that they had no answer for. Even though De'Aaron Fox was hitting shots, doing his clutch fourth quarter thing, it still came down to Steph Curry, Kevon Looney, Andrew Wiggins, Klay Thompson, and Jordan Poole just making a few more plays down the stretch. And that's all it takes. I don't care how hard you flex. If the game is close and they make a few more extra plays, you're in trouble. Now, one thing that I did notice that gives me encouragement as a Laker fan, in watching some of these games that I've been watching, in the Western Conference particularly, these teams, they don't appear to get to 50-50 balls as fast as my team does. Just for eyesight in watching their games, these guys are a little slower to the ball, man. And I think that's going to have a lot of sway when it comes down to it. I look at guys on my team like Dennis Schroeder, LeBron James, Austin Reeves, Vanderbilt. These guys are quick to 50-50 balls, man. They will get to the ball faster than the other team in general. And given the fact that I watch my team all the time go through, these circumstances where they end up the victor in the 50-50 ball battles, when I look at other teams, even glance at them for one game or two games, and I see that they're a step slower than my team, that's like food to me. I'm like, okay, we're gonna beat them. We're gonna beat them to the loose ball most of the time. So I say that about the Golden State Warriors. Depending on who's on the floor for the Sacramento Kings, they got guys like Davion Mitchell and De'Aaron Fox are gonna put that to shame. Sabonis, those guys have excellent hands, so I don't really think that about the Sacramento Kings. But I look at them Clippers, nah. Phoenix, nah. Josh Okogie, KD, Booker are going to be quick to 50-50s. But they struggled a little bit in that area. Obviously, if you're looking at the Clippers, Russell Westbrook's quick to them. Bones Highland, young players. You expect them to be able to win some of those battles, but I am telling you that I'm seeing players be a step slow in the Western Conference. Minnesota and Denver, same thing. I was not impressed with how quickly they were getting the 50-50 ball. So that's one thing that kind of stood out to me. I know that that's a very small sample size and it doesn't tell a whole lot, but I do believe that my Lakers are just a bit quicker defensively than a lot of these teams from player to player to player, and I think it's going to help us a lot when them scrums happen. So that's something I'm thinking about. Of course, our game is today, so I have a video for you separate from this to talk about the Lakers and the Memphis Grizzlies as they approach Game 4. As we said, these games are going to start coming closer and closer and closer. It's every other day now, so ain't no rest for the Lakers pretty much. So we got to take care of business in Game 4 and make sure we control home court, get this thing back to Memphis and finish them off. But I'm not overly excited about the prospects of doing that as a objectional, person rather than a fan. A fan, I'm excited. As somebody watching from afar, the Lakers gave me a little cause to pause, and I don't know that the Lakers have what they need here mentally to defeat the field in front of them. They got the players, but the coach situation, y'all know how I feel about that. And then the players, it's just guys are only looking to give the effort that they want to give. And once they feel like that effort has been given, it's almost like they relax, and it's like they just think by osmosis the other team is supposed to adhere to that. Like, because I've given you all that I'm willing to give you, now you're done. And it's like, and then we walk away as if that's matter of fact, and it just leaves you in a hole. So that's the vibes that I've been getting from this team, and I ain't been too impressed with it, even though we've been winning games. It's the fashion in which we've been winning games. It's the fashion in which we've been losing games as well. That just makes me feel like, for all the good things that I like about my team, the thing that I need not like about them the most, they provide me, which is not real belief in their killer instinct and their ability to attack teams and keep them down. We always let guys come back. We always play with our food. We always allow teams back in by way of our schemes and our rotations. And because we keep doing these things with little to no change from night to night, it just makes me think that we're going to see more of the same, because guys are getting used to doing things the wrong way. Particularly our coaching staff. And keep on running stuff over and over again. Got the fan base going crazy, talking about, don't play this guy, don't play this guy. Please play somebody else. Please play our other guys. And we just see the same old crap every night, leading to the same old stuff. So it gets to a point where it's like, yeah, I know my roster can be used correctly. I know we can do things the right way. But when it really comes down to it, will they choose to? And the answer is probably not, given the history. So it just leaves you with a balance, an extreme balance of, I really, really believe in the roster, and I really, really don't believe in how they do things. You know what I mean? So it just makes us a even, average, mediocre playoff team. That's what it is. And so for everything that our roster does great, our coach is going to do wrong, and we'll end up with a tie game no matter how well we start or finish the game. It's just going to be close. You know, if we struggle so bad, our roster is going to get us back in it. You're going to see big performances from AD and Reeves and various guys, Bron. And you're just going to see us look as if we really, really played solid. But that's just the talent bleeding through the bad strategy. So that's what I think of the Lakers, man. As long as Darvin is in control, there's always going to be a question of whether or not he's going to do stuff in the second quarter that's going to dig us a hole. That's just what we've seen. You know, that's it. You got to wonder if when that second quarter rolls around and he gets away from them stars, if the people he's going to put in are just by nature just going to hurt the score. And the answer is, of course, it's like clockwork. The man is Groundhog Day, so you know damn well what he did yesterday. Chances are he's going to do some variation of that today, and it's going to have the exact same effect. So I don't know who else is going through that in the NBA. Probably teams that are not around anymore. We probably the only one left doing that stupid crap. But that's who we are, man. And that's what you should expect if you come to see us. So that's what it is, man. I don't know if the Lakers win tonight's game. I'm not here to predict this particular matchup, but I'm just telling y'all what I see in the NBA, and I don't see anybody in the Western Conference that scares me, including my own team. I'm just looking around like, man, everybody in the West is food for the East if they don't improve. Boston or New York or Milwaukee is going to take the championship. I'm telling you, those are the three teams that I think are serious in the East, as you guys know. And Milwaukee is up in the air with their situation with the health. So it's really New York and Boston to me. Oh, and Philly. Forgive me, Philly. I do have you in there, of course. So that's what it is. We're gonna have the West is gonna have trouble with any team coming out of the East if the West don't get better while they're playing each other. Because I'm seeing a bunch of flawed teams that would not win the championship in the heydays of the eras that I grew up in. All these different Spur team years, the different years where Kobe and Shaq and them was winning. And nobody today in the Western Conference would have came out of the West in that era. It just would not have happened. I'm just telling y'all right now, Spurs and all that, we wouldn't have beat none of them teams. The old field would have been in trouble with that field. So that's why I'm like, man, I just want to see a return to the details, man. The details. I know the game has changed, but it seemed like guys have gotten away from the details. I look at Steph Curry and Golden State, and I just say it's their talent that has bled through, that has helped them win. It hasn't been their fundamentals, and it certainly hasn't been their attention to detail or their intent on being intentional with every possession. They're not that focused. They have possession attention concerns, I think. It's like, okay, yeah, we can hit 3-point shots, so it ain't as important that we don't throw the ball off behind the back. It isn't as important that we make damn sure we don't mess up this defensive play. It's like their shot making is going to save them. They've been relying upon their shot making for so long that they don't have to do other things correctly. We don't have to hold Draymond accountable. Let Draymond run crazy. Why? Because at the end of the day, our shot making is going to save us from anything that otherwise he causes us problems for. We can let Wiseman go. Wiseman is a great center who's probably going to turn into a Hall of Famer one day, but we don't need him. He's too expensive to keep. We got shot makers, Steph and Clay. We can win championships on them no matter what. Bring me Lamb, bring me Green, bring me all these different dudes that aren't really Golden State guys. We ain't got to play our kids. Let them sit back there. We got shot makers, man. Steph and Clay will save us. We can pay Jordan Poole $200 million even though we expect him to do the same thing Clay and Steph does. It doesn't matter because we got shot makers. It's like it's that crap that the Golden State Warriors have been sliding and getting away with for 15 years that allows us to see them continue to make mistakes that we do not allow children to make down the stretch of basketball games. And I look at them and say, kids, you can't duplicate what they did because God didn't give you the ability to shoot like they did, so you ain't going to be able to skate around plays like that. You can't be laissez-faire with the basketball down the stretch. You can't take certain defensive plays off. You can't sign certain players and think you're going to just succeed. That doesn't work for anybody else but them. And because it doesn't work for anybody else but them, you get frustrated because it's like, that's not excellence. That's talent that masquerades as excellence based on the fact that they've been able to beat people with their shot making, which is a wonderful thing because that's what talent does. It makes you greater, but it also absolves you from focusing on the details. It also absolves you from actually being excellent. You don't have to teach principles and fundamentals and all of that. You can just launch threes from 50 feet away and hit all of them. But the problem is you're a terrible example of what champions should try to model themselves after, because if they can't hit shots like that, they can't win the way you did. You ain't teaching them nothing. You're just displaying your talent and walking away. And that's my problem with Golden State in the era we've been in. Because kids have watched them do that, they're trying to act like them, and they're not winning doing that. Because systems are trying to mimic what they do, they're ignoring rebound and ignoring size. They're ostracizing the big man, which makes the game easier for everybody. Like, this is the problem I have with the Golden State Warriors. They've taught everybody how to skate around being excellent by being talented. And as a result, you still see them making mistakes they ain't got no business making. And still getting away with it to this day. And I just think it's a cheat code that absolves the idolization of being detail-oriented, which is necessary for champions. So I resent it. I don't like it. I want it to go away. Finally. Forever. Draymond Green running around with 4 rings, acting like a buffoon, acting like it's the first year he's coming to the league. Like his name, Dillon Brooks. I sit up here and I say, Dillon Brooks, you got to do better. Look at the champions. And I look over the champions acting the same way. This is the problem. This is the problem. I can't look at them and say they're champs because they're not who you model yourself after if you want to see the type of success that you need to see. Draymond, you do what Draymond did, you're going to get kicked out of several games, be out of multiple rings. Not one, multiple rings. You do what he did. You know what I'm saying? But I'm a bad guy for saying that because they have accomplished what they've accomplished. But the problem is no one else can do what they did. See, the beauty of excellence, true excellence, is that you should be able to take what you can do, apply it, and have the best chance to win. If you do what they did, you can't apply that and win. You shoot 53s, some of them early in the shot clock. We saw them shoot a shot clock shot with like 17 seconds to go. They were up by 2 with like 3 minutes to go in the game yesterday. Of course, that shot turned into a transition bucket for the Kings, but it's like, you guys got all the rings in the world. Had your talent not been there and you just had to use your detail-oriented skill sets and your focus to win them championships, you wouldn't have got them. Because stuff like that would have kept you from getting them. And then we would have seen who was really excellent all these times y'all was winning. Who was really excellent? We don't get to find out because everybody's shooting the 3. And only a few people can make it, and both of those people are in Golden State. That's the reality of it. I just don't like it, man. That's why I feel like going forward, even if you have Wembanyama gifts, Giannis gifts, LeBron gifts, coaches in the overall basketball environment needs to teach the importance of doing things right. Detail-oriented, every possession matters. Because if you're not teaching that, The kids who are watching these people succeed are going to do what they did and lose. That's the reality of it. They ain't going to be able to hit shots like that, and they're going to get beat by somebody who's detail-oriented, and then they're going to be confused because Golden State did it. How come I can't? Because you ain't Golden State, and they shouldn't have been Golden State either. You got to be focused on the details of the game, and being pedestrian with the basketball and the stretch of the game is going to lose you the game. What they did last year in the finals, leaning on a bunch of legacy guys and choosing the second half of the finals to start leaning in on the players who could actually succeed for them, 9 out of 10 times you're going to lose that championship. They were able to get away with it. These type of things, I'm like, yo, the stuff that Steve Kerr has been getting away with coaching that team, the stuff they've allowed to happen with Draymond Green, all the different stuff, you do not get to do that anybody else. You will fail. So that's why I have a problem with Golden State. I know I'm not the only person who has a problem with Golden State. It's not their organization. It's just how they've been able to skate through life. Quite honestly, skate through the NBA life, winning championships without actually doing everything it takes to win. They just have special gifts, and that's just what it is. So, and who knows? When you start talking about the integrity of the last 12, 13, 15 years of the NBA, who knows what the officials have been doing that we're just now getting a whiff of, and why certain things transpired the way they did. Who knows? But I'll tell you right now, when you see people do things the wrong way and get the right result, you have to wonder. You have to wonder. Because that's not how that usually works. But so anyway, you guys, that's what I had to say. I just wanted to vent that out. I don't think I had ever articulated that in that way. I just think shot making and three-point shooting has kind of pulled us away from having to focus on what the details are. I think everybody wants to shoot from 50 feet away with 17 seconds left in the shot clock, and all of those shots are bad. They're bad when Steph does it. They're bad when a scrub does it. When the scrub want to be Steph. So he's shooting bad shots. That's what pisses me off. It's the guys who are emulating Steph and Clay shooting early second shot clocks that turn into transition buckets. It's ruined the game. BDF 44, I thank you all for watching.